Good afternoon, everybody. As people are trickling in, I would like to introduce our speaker today. For those who don't know, Philip is and I'm multitasking here as I'm letting people in. Philip is the founder of Asterisk Marketing. They are focused on helping agents and teams generate quality leads through PPC, SEO, and other strategic marketing systems. Philip and Asterisk Marketing have over a decade of experience in marketing, and they have a very impressive track record of managing ad spend and SEO and doing their marketing strategies. And today, Philip is going to be getting very tactical with you all. So he's being very generous with not only his time, but his knowledge in sharing how to create a Google ad for those of you who have been wanting to know. I have personally been wanting to know. It's a very just very elusive subject to us all of creating a Google ad. Facebook, pretty much easy peasy. If you maybe not necessarily the Facebook ads manager, but we know enough to get by to be dangerous. But Google ad is a different story for a lot of us. So Philip, thank you for taking the time to share with us all how to create a Google ad and getting tactical. So everyone listen up. Watch, it is being recorded, so if you need to come back to it and slow down and pause, please do. And if we run out of time, Philip does have the slide deck to share with us afterward if you need to come back, and we'll be happy to share the slide deck. So feel free to post any questions throughout the session in the chat. If you have any questions, I'll be helping manage that chat while Philip is teaching how to create a Google ad. And with that said, I will let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elena. So I'm going to do a screen share. So let me know if this is all good. Let me go over. Can you see my slideshow?
All good.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I'm not going to take a ton of your time today. So we'll probably run around 25, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less. For this one particularly, so today, this is kind of stuff that we're going to go through. So we're just going to give a very brief overview of what pay-per-click is. I know not everyone knows exactly what it is, so we'll just kind of give a brief overview of it so you understand. And then, of course, we need to go into the benefits, like why should you actually care about it? Why are tons of agents probably in your location doing pay-per-click and yielding really good returns? And then what makes an effective campaign? So this is kind of where we're going to get into the particulars, pretty specific with like keywords and campaigns and ad groups and ad copy and so on and so forth. And hopefully you can walk away with some actionable things if you were already doing it or if you're going to start doing it. And then just some common mistakes. So I've a lot of people I've seen. I've looked over their accounts, and I just see a lot of these common things that I really want you guys to avoid if this is something that you are looking into doing yourself. Even if you hire a company, like now you can kind of speak knowledgeable or at least know what you're kind of talking about. And as Lana said, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and she can stop me, and I can try to answer them. But okay, so what is pay-per-click? It's a big subject, but for the most part, it's kind of as it sounds, right? It's a form of online advertising, digital marketing, where an advertiser, so myself or you, we pay a fee to either Google or someone else every time our ad is clicked. So an ad could theoretically be seen online 1 million times, and you wouldn't pay for it. Those are called impressions. We're actually only paying when someone clicks that specific ad. So that's one of the reasons people really like it. And typically what you're doing is you're bidding on keywords or search phrases online. So here's an example, right? So I'm in the market for a new home in Miami. I'm going to go to Google, right? Like many of us do. We go to Google to search things. Obviously, AI is kind of getting in there with ChatGPT, but Google still is pretty dominant. And when I type something in, specifically Miami new homes for sale, I'm going to get these sponsored ads. So these are kind of like our pay-per-click ads. So if I was to click on one of these sponsored ads, go to their landing page, it would cost that company, say $1 or $1.50 or $2 a click. It's going to range on a based on a variety of factors, but you click on an ad, you go to a landing page, that's what that pay-per-click is. And then below your sponsored ads, that's what you call your organic listings. So those really hard to get up to and rank on the first page, but those are essentially like you could click on it a million times and it would be free. It's just really hard to rank your website. Whereas with pay-per-click, you can show your ad at the top quite easily with the right setup. So that's kind of a brief overview and what they're managed through. And we'll kind of get in this particularly with Google Ads as it's the most popular one. So it's managed through that platform, or Microsoft Ads is another fairly popular one. You can do some pay-per-click under Meta, but kind of Google and Microsoft are the more popular ones, with Google being the most dominant for sure. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on. Don't expect you to know all of this, but this is just kind of like a brief overview of what the dashboard looks like. So if you were to create an account, and maybe some of you have, you would see something like this, where there's campaigns and there's budgets and all of these different stats. And we'll kind of get into some of this stuff so you have a better idea of what it is once you start your journey into Google Ads and pay-per-click. Okay, so that's kind of what it is, and why should you care? How can it impact you as a real estate agent? So one of the big things, which we kind of touched on, is you can target specific terms. One of the things, just heads up, I do talk a lot about like a buyer campaign, and that's an example we're going to use because out of all the campaigns we've run, and a lot of people run, it's one of the most effective campaigns in terms of leads, cost per leads, ROI, the volume there. So you can create campaigns for a bunch of different terms, but for most of the part, I'm going to be talking about kind of like a buyer Google Ads campaign. So we can target people by city, so like Cape Coral homes for sale. We can do types of homes, so you could target by pool homes or acreage or luxury or equestrian or whatever niche you're into. New development, which can be a great thing to target because typically there's not a lot of competition there. You can target specifically by zip codes, by neighborhood. So maybe you farm a neighborhood, you want to get more popular in one. You can target people looking for that neighborhood. If you're in a bigger city, specifically, you can target by condo buildings or counties. School districts, you can target people who are looking to relocate. So maybe you're in Florida and a lot of northern states are relocating. So you can target them specifically. You can do more of your seller, where people are home valuation, what's my home worth, trying to get a listing lead from it. You can go after people specifically looking for a real estate agent. Now, LSA or Google Screen takes up a lot of this, as well as your Google Business Profile, but you can also run a text ad. And with Google Ads, you can actually sponsor a Google Business Profile, so you can show up higher in that as well. Cash buyer, sell my home, that's another popular one, very expensive, but you certainly can target. Short-term rentals, investment properties, and then even recruitment. So if you're building a team, if you want to add new agents, a lot of people are going to go to Google, they're going to look up new brokerages or different kinds of terms, and you can target them as well. So this is not even scratching the surface, but these are some of the more popular ones. So you can get very, very specific with what you're going after. And then another reason people like it is the fast result. So you could create a campaign today, and within a few hours, your ads could start appearing online. You could start getting clicks and impressions and potentially leads. Whereas if any of you have done like SEO or some other like direct mailers or billboards, those can take a lot longer. Not to say they don't have their place, but Google can be, pay-per-click can be very, very quick. And then what a lot of people like with Google is, or pay-per-click, is it's very measurable results, right? So you can see exactly, if you have all of it set up properly with conversion tracking, you can see what ad groups are generating leads, what's the cost per leads, how many people are clicking on it, impressions. There's way more data than this, but this is kind of like the main things. So you can make really educated decisions on where you can invest your money and what's working and what's not. So there's just tons of data, which is really nice when you're optimizing campaigns. And then this is a big one too. So we get a lot of people that come to us, and maybe they're doing really good with referrals and sphere of influence, but they need something that's a little more that they can scale and is predictable. So with Google and pay-per-click, you can set your daily budget, and it can be $10 a day, it could be $100 a day, and you can just increase it or lower it so it can scale, which is a lot of people like. So if it's teams, if you're adding more team members, maybe a few team members leave, you can just increase and decrease the budget. If your spring market is heating up, you want to spend more in spring, spend less in summer, you can make those changes, and it can scale really nicely because specifically with buyers, there's just a ton of volume there. Some of the other campaigns, when there's not enough volume, it's harder to scale. But with buyers, you can scale really easily because there's just so many people looking for homes. And then another one is cost per lead. So can be quite low when you think about it. So they can be as low as or less than $20 a lead. Obviously, there's a balancing factor there between quality and cost per lead, but it can be pretty inexpensive to get some really lucrative deals from it. This is just kind of a quick rundown associated with cost per lead, but this is some of the more popular campaigns. I just want to give you guys kind of an idea of kind of like the costs associated with it. So catch offer, sell my house. If you're in that vertical, it's not cheap, like I said, because you can make a ton of money from it, but it's $130 a click. That's just to get them to your website. And then it's potentially $300 to $600, potentially more just for a lead. So if you're going to play in that space, you're going to need $5,000, $10,000 a month to compete. Real estate agent, obviously more affordable, $5 to $30 per click. I don't really know the cost per lead as much because we don't run as many of these campaigns because of Google Screened and Google Business Profile. But they can be pretty good leads because they're specifically looking for a real estate agent. What's my home worth? Generally, $10 to $30 cost per lead, $2 to $5 per click. A lot more kind of affordable. Can be a little further out in the funnel, but definitely a way to get listing leads. And then, again, the most popular one is homes for sale, usually $10 to $30. Could be more or less depending on your market, and can be pretty cheap per click. And also, obviously, a lot of people like to get listings. You can get listings this way as well, right? A lot of people who look for a home, they also need to sell a home. You could layer on demographic targeting where you tell Google you're only targeting people who own a home. So that's another way to do it. So there's just a lot of options and flexibility. And then finally, there's high intent there, right? People have gone to Google for a reason. They've gone to the search engine for a reason. Sure, right? They could be 6, 12, 2 years down the road, but they are typing it for a reason, and your job is to find out. So the quality can certainly be there versus sometimes with Meta or some other things, they're just kind of scrolling and then see a pretty home. Not to say there's not a place for Meta and that kind of stuff, but from what we've understand, pay-per-click tends to be a little bit better quality there. Okay, so what makes an effective campaign? Now, maybe you're sold on it, you want to get going. What are some of the ways that you can really create an effective campaign? So it kind of starts with the right website. And some of these things you guys probably already know, so we can kind of go through them quickly. But you need a professional designed website, right? You need to work with a professional, be a professional, or work from a platform. There's tons of platform providers, there's Real Geeks, Sierras, there's Lofties, Agent Fire, all these kind of stuff. So you need to have a professional design. Needs to be user-friendly, which if you have a platform, this is kind of already built in, but people need to get where they want to go quickly. They don't want to wait around. Needs to be responsive, which most of them all today are. They need the information that they're coming for, right? So if it's a homes for sale in Cape Coral with a pool, that's what they better see. Or if it's recruitment, they better see why should they join your team? Or if it's a real estate agent, why should they contact you? For buyer campaigns, which we'll get into, forced lead capture is a must, right? We need to get their information and we need to get it quickly in order to get the highest ROI. Contact information, obviously, to contact you needs to be quick. If it's over than 3 seconds, I think your bounce rate, so people leaving, is going to go up tremendously. So it's got to be a quick loading website. And then again, for buyers, you need an IDX feed, right? You need to be able to show them the homes. So here is just an example of a landing page. This is on a Real Geeks platform. for Cape Coral Homes for Sale. So you can see you're showing the properties right away. They don't have to go searching again. They have some request a virtual tour, so like a CTA. And then once they click on a property, they're going to get this lead capture that pops up. And then that lead is going to funnel to their CRM. And then hopefully one of Elena's workflows is going to kick off and capture them for you. But you need kind of one of these, you need this lead capture. This is an example of a landing page. So maybe you guys heard of Carrot websites. They're really good for cash offers. So if that's one of the strategies you want to do, I would recommend looking into them. This is a real estate agent focused landing page, and it's got a form, right? So you can fill out your information right away. You can text them, you can email them, and then it just has some information as how they can help you. And then this is a what's my home worth. So again, right away, put in your home address. You can get your valuation in 30 seconds, so you're going to get a lot of leads this way. So these are all very important components of, you need to have the right website, because you could have the best ad campaign in the world, but if you're sending it to a bad website, then it's all going to be for nothing. Okay, and then the next thing is, so we have our website. Now, how is the campaign set up? So this is kind of where we'll get into some of those details. And before we do that, let's just quickly talk about the structure. So it's kind of like a hierarchy where your campaign is your overall goal or your budget. So for example, like Cape Coral, that could be our campaign name. That's the city we're targeting. And then under that campaign, we're going to have our ad groups, and those are organized in related keywords and ads. So they're all going to be related to each other. And then the keywords also going to be related to one another in our ad group. They trigger the ad when someone searches that word. The ad, of course, is the actual message people see, and then the landing page is the web page people land on. So this is kind of some of the verbiage that you'll see when you start a Google Ads campaign. Okay, so we're gonna just run through an example one, just so you can have some real life examples. So the campaign we're gonna make is Cape Coral. The ad group we're gonna make is Pool Homes. So first thing we need to do, and these principles apply for whatever campaign you're doing. So if it's a seller campaign, if it's a real estate agent campaign, if it's another business, same principles apply. So you need to choose the right keywords, right? So if it's about pool home, all of those keywords need to be about the pool home, right? As you can see in my example, they're all about Cape Coral and about pool homes. So that's really imperative. And you can see these different match types, which once you get into, again, it's going to be more clear, but there's 3 different match types within Google. So there's broad match, there's phrase match, and then there's exact match. The broad match Google will get really aggressive with what they think is related to it. So you may type in Cape Coral Pool Homes, and they might think, Cape Coral Homes, that's good enough, or Fort Myers. So they get really aggressive with it. So we don't really like broad match, especially if you have a smaller budget. I wouldn't go for that one. I would stick with phrase and exact. So phrase is basically going to show you, we give Google keywords, and we say like those keywords have to be in that search term, but we'll let you add a couple more. So like maybe it's like homes for sale in Cape Coral under $1 million, right? We'll let them do that because that could be a potentially good lead for us. Whereas exact, it only shows your ad, only those keywords. They could be slightly different order, but they're not going to add any different keywords to it. So if you're on a pretty tight budget, exact is the way you want to go, so that you are only getting this really, really good traffic that you've already outlined.
I have a question, Philip. Do you mind
Yeah.
if I ask? Does Google ever show you keywords that you missed out on that people searched that were similar?
Yeah. So, well, I'll show that in a second, but that's why phrase match is pretty good, because it kind of spurs on different ideas, right? So then you can kind of get new ideas. So maybe it's like Cape Coral Homes with a hot tub. Maybe they show that. And then we're like, oh, we're seeing that a lot. Maybe I can create that landing page, right? And now I'm getting a really, really particular ad that I guarantee almost no one else is doing. So you can really get good ideas. But then the other thing, Elena, is doing keyword research. Which I'll get into in the next slide. This is just a reminder. We do see this all the time where people create ad groups and they'll talk about townhomes, condos, and homes for sale all in the same ad group. And that is not going to work because your ad copy needs to match your keywords and your landing page needs to match your ad copy. So if you're talking about townhomes and condos and just homes in general, yeah, they see an ad about, say, just normal homes or single family, and then the landing page, that's going to be a bad experience and cost them a lot of money. So everything's got to be really kind of tight together and all in the same theme. But so for the keywords, right? 2 tools that we generally use. So you can use ChatGPT, right? AI is obviously pretty good at this. And here's a prompt that you can steal to give you some keywords. What's a better tool is Google Keyword Planner. And if any of you are into creating content or SEO, also a really, really good tool, even social media content. So Google Keyword Planner will actually give you an estimate of how often it's searched every month. They will give you trends. So 3 month, is it going up or down? Year over year, so is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it competition? They'll actually give you cost too. So here you can see, so a lot of people, like, you got to know your price point, but you could create a specific ad group about houses under 150 grand in Cape Coral with a pool. Is that 150 or 1.5? I can't see. But you could create specific ad groups and about that stuff, and it would be very, very specific, and I guarantee you'll get a really good cost per lead. So Google Keyword Planner is a really good tool. You can only access it when you have a Google Ads account. And I have a video at the end in the resource sections where you can learn more about that, but that's a really good tool for your keywords. Okay, so we got our keywords in. They're all nice and tight. They're specific to what we want. So the next part is we have to create an ad that is highly relevant and engaging. So if someone typed in pool homes for sale in Cape Coral and saw an ad like this, where it says pool homes, make a splash on your pool, another pool homes, all this kind of stuff, high chance they're going to click on it because it's so relevant to them. So that's what you really want to do in whatever you're doing. So once you create a Google Ads, you're going to start seeing stuff like this come up. And to kind of maximize it, you want to create as many headers as possible. You want to use a mix of keywords. So if it's pool homes, if it's waterfront, if it's recruitment, or what's my home worth, you want to use a variety of the keyword. So what people are going to type in, some call to actions like schedule a tour today or reach out to me today, and then some features like value adds. So like updated 3 minutes ago or free home evaluation, so on and so forth. So you want to use a mixture of that. You want to use as many characters as possible. So you want to take as much real estate, right, as possible on these with these ad copy. You want to use a mixture of, so they're called ad assets, and it's there's callouts, there's site link extensions, there's phone, so your phone number. So there's all these different options that you can do to try to enhance your ad. A lot of people just kind of stop with headers and descriptions. But if you can use these additional things, you will be in a much, much better position because people want options, right? So maybe I typed in pool home for sale in Cape Coral, and I'm like, oh, I got to sell my home first. Oh, here's an instant home valuation. Let's see what I can actually afford. So it's a different way to get a different lead. So you just want to use as much of those kind of things as possible. And in this slide deck at the end, I have a bunch of resources. One of the videos I did was like, I did a step-by-step video of how I go and create a Google Ad account from scratch. So I invite everyone who's interested to watch that because it's just, obviously I can't get through everything today in a short of time. Another ChatGPT prompt for you to give you some of these headlines and potentially descriptions. So use AI for it, and then also competition. Look at what competitors are doing to get some ideas, and then also I have a cheat sheet, linked to a cheat sheet for ad copy and stuff that you can steal from me. And then kind of talked about this. Got to send them the right landing page, right? Don't send them the home page. That's probably not going to do what you want it to do. Whatever you're offering, it has to be a page that's highly relevant. So if it's pool homes Cape Coral, it better be a page about pool homes, recruitment, real estate agent, what's my home worth, so on and so forth. So you got to send them to the right landing page. And then what I would say is just keep it going. Don't stop at just one ad group. You want to create a lot of different ad groups. So different city searches, different types of homes, different zip codes, different neighborhoods. The more you give Google, the more data you're going to see. Not every area or keyword is going to convert. So the more options you have, the better that your campaign and ad group are going to do. So definitely don't just stop at one. And then just quickly, some other things to consider and set up. So conversion tracking is pretty important. It's one of these things I can't really cover because it's going to vary based on what platform you're with. The best advice I can give you is talk to your website provider or platform provider. Generally, they have some information, or you can reach out to someone like myself and we can try to guide you in the right direction. But setting up conversion tracking is pretty important so that you actually know where leads are coming from within the campaign. You're going to have to choose a type of bidding. We're a big fan of max conversions. If you have conversion tracking set up, you're basically telling Google, get me as many leads as possible within this budget. Or if you don't have conversion tracking set up, use max clicks, which is, say, give me as many clicks as possible. There's a negative keyword list so keywords are going to sneak in there that you don't want, but you can kind of safeguard yourself with a list that you give to Google. So things like cheap or free or job or this kind of stuff, which we have a list already pre-built that is in that slide that you can grab. And then lastly, within Google, you can also do some income and demographic targeting. So if you want to target people by a certain income, if you want to target some demographics, so like you could target theoretically people if they own a home or if they're in market for real estate or if they have a family. You can get kind of pretty creative with what kind of stuff you want to do. So there's those options to consider as well. Okay, so set it up. All right, we're all good with how it's set up. We got our ads, our keywords, so on and so forth. We set our budgets. Now, what do we do to try to improve it ongoing? Because it's not a once and like you got to keep improving it. It's not one and done. So this is kind of that dashboard which I showed you before, right? And I'm just going to go over some of these keys or terms because they're pretty important to know. So when you make optimization, so impressions is how many times your ad was shown to someone, regardless if they made a click or not. Interactions is when they actually clicked on the ad. So it could be a call or it could be a click. Interaction rate is just interactions divided by impressions. The average cost is how much you paid per interaction. So you can kind of see it here. It's going to range based on the keyword, competition, so on and so forth. The cost is the total amount you spent on that particular campaign. So cost times interaction. Conversions is number of leads that you've generated or calls. So pretty important number. Conversion rate is the rate of the clicks to a lead. And then cost per conversion, which everyone wants to know, is just how much you spend on average to get that lead. So those are some of the key things that you need to know. So just a couple things that we do kind of ongoing, and then we'll wrap this up. So it's pretty important you review search terms because, again, things can kind of sneak in there and you want to make sure your money is going in the right place. So you want to make sure if it's all closely related to whatever your ad group is. So this is a very clean list. So they're all about pool homes, right? But if I saw something in there that wasn't about pool homes, then I would want to make sure that I exclude that keyword. So this is something you can do at the start, probably on a daily basis. Similarly with keywords. So certain keywords are going to do well and certain are not going to do well. So over time, we can then pause those keywords so we're not spending money on them, right? So for example, this one, pool houses, Cape Coral, is $14, where these two are $8. So maybe I want to pause this one and more money will get funneled into these ones that are higher performing. So that's something you want to do on a fairly consistent basis. You need enough data, so like 30, 60 days worth of data to kind of make those decisions. But yeah, you want to review keywords to make sure you're not wasting any money. And then yeah, Martin, you gotta.
Yeah, I have a question on that last slide. Can you go back a minute?
I don't.
That's fine. So, Mike, I messed you up, man. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're all good. Go ahead.
Hey, so you've already, this is probably a campaign that you're running for somebody else. So what are you counting as a conversion, that they visited the site and given us they filled out the landing page and given us name, address, phone number, email address? Is that what you're counting as a conversion?
Yeah. So only people that actually fill out a form.
Okay.
Yeah. Google will kind of like, they do have like, they'll set up automatic conversions for like page view and stuff, but that's not a true conversion, right? Or at least in our sense, we're strictly doing leads as conversions.
That's fine. I was just trying to figure out the metrics, what we were tracking. Thank you.
Yeah. So conversion could just be known as a lead.
Okay. As opposed to a visitor.
Yeah. It's not a page view or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple other things to consider when you're managing a campaign. So one of the things you can do is you can switch up bidding, right? So there's that max conversions, there's that manual CPC. If you have conversion tracking, I highly recommend changing it to TCPA down the road. So essentially that's telling Google, I want you to get leads for me at $20. And you can set that number to whatever you want. And they will do their best to try to get it there. There's some pros and cons with your approach, but it's one of the most effective approaches for lead generation. Another thing is, if you find your ad groups are not working, maybe you just need to create new ad groups, right? And try it out. So maybe you tried one city, try a neighboring city or zip code or just different keywords. So you can always add to that. Monitoring spend, Google's not always going to spend your full amount, or maybe they're spending too much. So you do have to keep an eye on that. And then kind of what we went through is pausing keywords or ad groups or maybe even campaigns that are just not doing well, right? So you can't keep them running. They're just costing you money and you're not getting any leads. So you need to try to look at making some adjustments or pausing them so your money can go to things that are actually working for you.
So we have a question in the chat from Dave. What do you charge to run PPC campaigns? Is there a minimum spend?
What do we charge? So we charge $500 a month to run. There's not a minimum spend per se, but most people we work with are usually spending around $1,000 or more a month to try to generate the best results.
And earlier you said that Google only charges you for a click. So does it always charge $1,000 a month, or sometimes it's less?
So it's Google. So we work on monthly budgets. Google works on daily budgets. So we would set it to say $30 a day and then kind of monitor that so that we kind of spend $1,000 throughout the month evenly as best as we can. And Google is like a post-pay thing. So it's like you incur all of these clicks and costs, and then you get billed, say, $200 after the fact. And then just some things to avoid with pay-per-click. So it seems kind of odd that I'm doing Google reps and Google recommendations, but the reps will try to, typically their goal is to get you to spend more money from what we found. And they are not, like if you're going to work with anybody, you got to work with people that know real estate, because it's going to be different than other niches. So in Google reps, they don't know real estate, specifically pay-per-click. So I would try to avoid talking to them, to be honest. Same thing with Google recommendations. A lot of the suggestions they're making is just to increase spend and raise your budget, and they're not the best case. So you have to be very careful with those. And then what we often see too with people who run it themselves is they just over optimize. They're just making so many changes and they don't let the data kind of dictate where they should be going. So you got to give it enough time before you make some of these adjustments. Yeah, and these are just some of the resources that I've added because again, I couldn't really go through everything, but I took a video of me just going step by step through creating it. Here's more about ongoing optimization and showing you the dashboard. This is just a blog that you can look at. This cheat sheet, so if you're going to do this yourself, this cheat sheet is extremely valuable. It's got a ton of ad copy, keywords, structure that you can just kind of take from me. These are just the different bidding strategies kind of further explained. Google Keyword Planner, a tutorial YouTube video, really good for SEO and content if you're into that. and then that negative keyword list so that you're not wasting any money that you can just apply, which is really important. So I have that, and then I show you how to actually apply it. And then, yeah, if anybody has, like, I know I kind of went through a lot, right? And I don't expect everyone to kind of remember it, but if anyone has any questions specifically about Google Ads, wants me to review their Google Ads, just take a look, or wants to just learn more about what we do, you can reach out to myself at ppasma@asteriskmarketing.co, or you can go onto our website, asteriskmarketing.co. Yeah, we do mainly PPC is our kind of our bread and butter. We deal with a lot of clients doing that, but we also do content, Google Business Profile, SEO, and I'd love to chat with anybody about that stuff as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to kind of answer them.
Awesome. Thank you, Philip. Appreciate not only sharing your knowledge today, but then that resource page will be super valuable for everyone. At first I thought it was just like standard links to resources in general online, but then you shared that it was like videos you actually personally recorded. So that's...
Yeah, no, I recorded a bunch. Some of them, one of them or two of them may be YouTube videos, but I actually recorded them on Loom, a couple of them as well.
Yeah, Matt asked, do any of your resources detail what you recommend for targeted groups or demographics, given we are in the housing category?
Yeah, so Google is a little bit different than Facebook, but Google, certain things you can't do, and Google just won't let you do it. So like age, can't target by age, can't target by gender, but you can target by income, and then some of the other audience targeting is all fair game. I didn't include a resource about that, but happy to send that your way, Matt. Martin, I can send you the slide deck as well. I think Elena can also make it available where you can just access those links.
Yeah, you can either email Philip, or everyone who registered will get a copy of the slide deck and the resource page.
Yeah, I'll make it available as a PDF or PowerPoint.
Yep. All righty. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate your time. We'll send this recording out as soon as it finishes doing its thing and we get it back from Google Meet, and we can edit it out and all that stuff. And if you're not a part of the Facebook group, be sure to join that. I'll put the link to that in the chat really fast. We host usually 2 of these a week. So definitely join these. Philip, thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll have you back in the future. You're very much a valuable resource in this this space for sure.
Enjoy doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
See ya.